This is David with Corel Training.
This is Cassie Green from Apparelist.
This is Gordon Firemark from the Entertainment Law Update.
And you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
the best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, June 27th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
and I'm Aaron Montgomery from our Success Group and American Print and Supply, and good to be back. I felt lost last week, Terry, but you guys did a fantastic job. Thank you, Eric, for covering for me while I was at GPX in Indianapolis. The internet trade show style internet was terrible there, so it would have been a mess.
But I'm surprised you've gotten in at the other shows. You know, it's always so bad at those events.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the other shows have worked out okay. I think we'll try it again here in the Twin Cities DAX show. So, we'll live on the edge a little bit, but for whatever reason, Indy just wasn't playing nice. But it all worked out good, and I'm excited to be back, Terry, and talking to a good friend of ours, Johnny Schell with Keypoint Intelligence, and we're going to discuss the current state of decorated apparel. The amazing part about Johnny is, since I've known him, right, he's always got his finger kind of on the pulse, and now It's really his job to have his finger even more on the pulse than he did before. Probably not more, but it's actually a job title now for him. And we love having him in here from time to time just to kind of help us look into the future a little bit, see what the current state is, see where things might be going. It really cool stuff. So I always love talking to Johnny, Terry.
Always something new and exciting when Johnny comes on. So
absolutely.
Make sure you stay till the very end. I'm going to be bringing the secret sauce again today. Sell what you do best. Sounds like a no-brainer, right, Aaron?
Yeah,
not always the case.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's not always the case. So I'm really excited. I have my whiteboard desk ready. I've got my marker ready to go. So I'll be tuning in till the very end to hear all that from you, Terry. So exciting stuff coming up at the end of the show. But we've got our friends with the news here. We've got MJ and Dan from WIN, from World Imaging News, and I always love that they do such a great job. I made a comment on LinkedIn this morning about how I'm just so in awe of what Dan's doing with WIN and how MJ is part of that team. So excited for this. Terry, you ready?
I am. Let's hear the news.
Hey there, listeners. Maria Jose Clavijo here, coming to you from the always vibrant Bogota, Colombia. Welcome to another episode of Two Regular Guys, your favorite hangout for all things print and imaging.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan, and I'm also living on the edge today as I'm traveling, but I'm still in sunny California with the World Imaging News team. We thought summer might bring a bit of a slowdown after DTF Expo, ISA, and FESPA, but MJ, no such luck, right?
Not at all, Dan. We just wrapped up the Andy Grafica and Cratec shows in Bogota, Colombia. These events are on par with the ISA in terms of scale, making them some of the biggest graphic art shows in Latin America. A lot of printing technology launched at ISA and FESPA made its regional debut here.
Right, MJ. You reported that HP was showcasing their new latex printers, including the standout latex R530 flatbed. That one really caught my eye. HP is clearly making a big push on sustainability with their latex ink technology. And just recently, World Imaging News, through our WIN Stream It series, teamed up with HP, Grimco, and Fast Signs for a launch special on the R530. So MJ, beyond HP, what other new products caught your attention at Andy Grafica?
Honestly, Dan, all the major players brought something new. Worldline and Maki were there through their local resellers, but Epson really stood out with a major presence. We got a full booth tour, and it was seriously impressive. Tons of innovation on display.
That's great to hear. And did you also check out the new Sawgrass system?
I did. Sawgrass debuted their new VersaFlex system, and it made a big splash. It's a true breakthrough, perfect for sublimation, hard surface, fabric transfer, you name it. We even filmed a fantastic video with our product marketing team, and like HP, Sawgrass really lean into the sustainability message with this launch.
That's an important point. Both HP and Sawgrass are emphasizing sustainability. Is that something that's becoming more important in the Colombian market?
Absolutely, Dan. Sustainability is front and center in Latin America right now. And
Mhm.
on the Graphica, a lot of the discussions were focused on eco-conscious printings, things like reducing water and energy consumption, using our recyclable media, and switching to non-toxic low-emission inks.
That makes a lot of sense. We saw sustainability take center stage at FESPA as well. So it's great to see that the same momentum gaining traction in countries or markets like Colombia.
Totally. For both manufacturer and print service providers, being environmentally responsible isn't just a buzzword. It's becoming essential to staying competitive. Customers are asking for
Mhm.
greener solutions, and we're seeing local governments introduce regulations to push the industry in that direction. So, when companies like HP and Sagras highlight the environmental benefits of their products, it really resonates.
Right. And sustainability just isn't about being green. It's also about efficiency, cutting down on waste, and future proofing your operation. Hey, MJ, let's change direction.
Okay, then last month we kicked off a new feature,
Mhm.
Wins Product of the Month, where we highlight an innovation that's shaking up the industry.
Okay, so MJ, what's the pick this month?
This month, the spotlight goes to HP's new latex R530 printer.
Mhm.
It's a really workhorse combining roll to roll and flatbed capabilities with latex ink technology. It's a unique product with broad market potential and checks every box in terms of sustainability, performance, and versatility.
Hey, that's an excellent choice, MJ. You know, like every month, we've covered a lot of important ground today. To stay on top of the latest news and trends in digital imaging, please head over to worldimagingnews.com.
And don't forget to check out
Mhm.
worldimagingnewslatina.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter, Win Quick News.
Hey, that's it for this edition of Win News. I'm Dan Barefoot,
And I'm MJ.
and until next time, stay healthy and keep on smiling.
Manténganse saludables y sigan sonriendo.
Awesome, Terry. That was like Ramona said here. I love how their news is like a conversation between the two of them that we just get to listen in on. Really, really good
And,
stuff there. And
and on the move all the time. It's like the old days for us there.
absolutely,
From a
absolutely on
different
that.
location every time. And MJ mentioned VersaFlex. We're going to have Lori Donovan on the show in 2 weeks to talk about just that. So
Yep. Our next actual show, we're going to take a week off for the 4th of July next week, and then have Lori Donovan on to talk about that. Plus, I love how right that sustainability. Right. I think it's one of those things where all of a sudden, you and I being able to be involved in that program with Jay Bassell, the Sustainable Merch Summit. It's kind of like when you buy a new car, and now all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. Right. Like
exactly.
I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm hearing about it a lot more, which is awesome, right? That was kind of the point of that event, right? So we're all more aware and having more conversations about it. So
Everybody's really excited, by the way, to plan out another one of those sustainability events. So keep your eye on our show, and we'll be making that announcement.
absolutely. In fact, I met somebody in Indy that I think will be really good for that program as well. So I'll be making that connection here this next week. All right. Well, let's talk to some of our regulators here that are tuned in. Ramona says it's good to have you back, Aaron. Morning, everyone. And we've got Craig tuning in from Boston this morning. Good morning. And Doug coming back from vacation. So he's in Cedar City, Utah. Everybody's on the move, Terry. So this is really good. I'm
Exactly
going to be
right.
on the move tomorrow, so this is great. Everybody's traveling out there, trying to find cooler spots. Probably like, oh, is it cooler there? No. Hear
Yeah,
a lot about the heat these
not
days.
exactly here, but yesterday on the news it said unseasonably cool for us. It was only 104 yesterday. So,
That's hilarious. That's really cool. I've got this little notification right on my computer right now. Hot days ahead, and so anyhow, all right, Diana. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Well, Terry, one of the other things that we're known for, I actually haven't seen the dad joke from last week yet, but I'm assuming it was amazing.
it was yours. So
Yeah, well, then it was amazing, obviously. Perfect. Well, do you have one for us, Terry?
I do. We bumped this one back a couple of weeks ago when we
Awesome.
had a guest do a dad joke. But yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right, here we go.
So, Aaron, my 4-year-old granddaughter made me realize I might have a road rage issue.
Really? How did she do that?
Well, she was riding my shopping cart at the grocery store and turned to the shopper in front of us and said, "Pick a lane, jerk."
Oh, was there? Never mind. Did she sort of call name number one? What else happened? All right, that's a good one. Very good. Yes. So,
All right. Before we dive in, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participate in our show intros. So go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, and be a part of every show. It's not too late, so don't be left out.
Yeah.
We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2, the number 2, to book a future episode, or you can email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, YouTube Podcast, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. And if you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions for Johnny. He's going to have a lot of great information, so pay attention, and he'd be happy to answer your questions as well.
Get your notepads out. Before we get Johnny in here, we've got Vicky says, good morning from Michigan, currently driving, but listening in. So, and then Pierre Jamnicki, afternoon in Croatia. So there we go.
Wow, Pierre.
Yeah.
That's definitely far from Cleveland, my friend.
Yeah, a little bit of a jaunt. So, all right. Well, let's do this, Terry. Are you ready to get Johnny in here and dive in?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, there he is. Welcome in, Johnny. Thank you so much for being here today, sir.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So, Johnny, I know that we've had you on before. Most of our listeners probably know you, but just give us a little bit of your history, but also tell us a little bit more about Keypoint Intelligence too before we dive into this.
Yeah. So I've been in the industry a short time now, since 1986. Started in screen printing. Worked in all the industry segments in the screen printing market, apparel, sign and graphic, industrial. Worked for SGIA/Printing United for over 2 decades. I was vice president of technical services there. Worked closely with both you guys on a number of efforts. Aaron, Skills USA, Terry with educational programming and speaking at trade shows and stuff like that. So, yeah. Like I say, I've been around for just a little bit, and currently with Keypoint Intelligence, I'm the principal analyst for textile apparel and now actually wide format. I've taken over that practice as well.
Oh.
So my main role is really just to, like you said in the beginning, keep my finger on the pulse of where technology is going, what trends and applications are emerging, what's the future look like, and that really informs our subscribers as to how they can strategize and prepare their businesses for what's to come. Keypoint Intelligence as a whole it's a market intelligence organization. We do forecasting, we do consulting, so we help our subscribers and customers, again, just stay ahead of the curve and be on the leading edge of what's around the next corner. And we do that through a variety of ways by consulting their strategy, voice of the customer, competitive landscape, those kind of projects is what we are engaged in, as well as the forecasting stuff, like I mentioned, and other research that we do.
Yeah, amazing. And Terry, you notice how he said on the leading edge, not the bleeding. So that's an L, not a B. When you have the data, you have somebody like Johnny in your corner, you have an opportunity to be on the leading edge. So there you go.
Exactly. I think a phrase Scott Fresner coined, being on the bleeding edge of innovation when we started out in DTG 20 years ago. So hard to believe that.
Yeah, lots of bleeding, lots of scars. I'd rather not have any more of those.
Well, speaking of decades, you're knocking on the door of 4 decades in the industry. I'm just a little over 4 decades in the industry. So, Johnny, how have you seen the industry evolve, and more specifically, what would you say are the most pivotal shifts happening right now today?
Yeah, so I've witnessed the decorated apparel industry evolve from a process-driven analog business into a digitally orchestrated, experience-centric marketplace. In the 1980s and early 90s, it was primarily about long-run screen printing that was focused on reducing cost per unit and maximizing press uptime. Back then, scale and efficiency defined success. Shops invested in larger equipment, optimized screen setups, and built their margins on volume. But in the early 2000s, digital disruption began, albeit slowly and with a lot of difficulty. Remember, we were there, guys. Remember?
There was a lot of difficulty.
Direct-to-garment was in its infancy, and while quality and reliability were inconsistent, the idea of print on demand really began to take root, and it was the early signal that customization would eventually reshape the industry's value proposition. Now, in the past 10 years, I've seen a lot of structural transformation. We've moved from a supply-centric model to a demand-centric ecosystem. It's no longer about producing at scale. It's about producing at speed with precision that is aligned with customer expectations. The rise of direct-to-film, integrated e-commerce platforms, and software-driven fulfillment models are all part of this shift. And one of the most critical points is customers now expect decorators to deliver not just a product, but an experience with the rapid response, visual personalization, and values that are all aligned. And that also includes sustainable practices, which is becoming more and more important. So to me, there are really 3 pivotal shifts that are reshaping the decorated apparel industry at a structural level, each of which carries significant implications for how decorators must operate to stay competitive. First, I'm seeing the full-scale digitization of workflows and production. And this goes well beyond adopting digital printing technologies. It includes everything from automated order ingestion and barcode-driven job tracking to RIP software that integrates directly with online storefronts. And the goal is no longer just output quality, it's really throughput intelligence. Decorators need to reduce the number of human touch points between order placement and shipment. And those who digitize their workflows are cutting lead times, they're increasing capacity without expanding headcount, and they're minimizing error rates. In a market driven by real-time demand, this digitization is not optional. It's a foundation for success. Second, there's a clear shift from volume to velocity in order fulfillment. Legacy models were built on efficiency at scale, large batch orders, long production cycles, and predictable seasonality. But today's customer expects speed, flexibility, and the ability to produce in smaller quantities without sacrificing quality or branding. So whether it's a limited run influencer drop, a local event campaign, or micro merch for a content creator, the value now lies in how fast you can fulfill a highly specific order, not how cheaply you can produce thousands of the same shirt. And this really has recalibrated what it means to be a competitive decorator. Turnaround time and service elasticity are now key differentiators. The third is we're seeing a substantial rise in the importance of brand positioning and social impact in purchasing decisions. Consumers align themselves with products that reflect their values, be it on sustainability, their social equity, ethical production, and localized business support. So that's especially pronounced among Gen Z and younger millennials. And for decorators, this means your clients are choosing vendors not just based on price or capability, but on whether your operation aligns with the values they wish to project out to their audience. So if your shop embraces eco-conscious materials or fair labor practices or community engagement, and you can communicate that story through your production process, that becomes a competitive advantage in itself. And decorators who recognize and respond to those shifts and treat them not as trends, but as structural realities are going to remain relevant and profitable in the years ahead. They're going to build business capable of rapid adaptation, meaningful differentiation, and sustainable scale. And those who resist these changes or treat them as optional really risk being obsolete in a marketplace that's no longer waiting for anybody to catch up to you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, the secret still is, though, everybody that's listening, do good work, deliver on time. Just on time is a much more narrow window now.
Well, and there's so much good stuff to, man, if you guys weren't just like taking notes that whole time, so much good stuff to unpack there. Like one thing that stood out to me, Johnny, was you were talking about, I love how you bring up the idea of an experience, right? Like today, the consumer, gets excited about a project, and it's not about the cost. It's not about the number of units. I'm excited about it. And if you're going to take 2 weeks to deliver that to me, it's lost its luster. Right. And now, the buyer's remorse starts coming in and all that other stuff. So kind of, yeah, I mean, you guys know me, I'm always thinking about like the solopreneur, the small shops too. Like this is really crucial for them as well. Like, how do you make that experience for your customer? You mentioned community driven. So
it's all about how you brand, how you market your brand, really. And that's, you're not just a decorator anymore. You're a partner in somebody else's brand straody, right?
Yeah, that's cool. That's a perfect way to look at it. I love that. Thank you, Johnny, for
somewhere here in Phoenix. Jay Basel's head popped up and said, "Did someone say branding?"
Yeah, that's right. Hold on. Is that I need a taco or somebody say branding? Okay.
My spidey senses are going though.
That's right. That's right. Well, okay, Johnny, this, like I said, we could sit and unpack some of this stuff, but I want to kind of get into some specifics here as far as the technology side of this, right? So what you're seeing out there, what are you seeing that's kind of making a big impact technology wise? And what maybe are some of the technology things that, in your opinion, are maybe a little overhyped?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, technology is reshaping the industry in fundamental ways, and the impact is most evident where production, workflow, and customer experience converge. At the front lines, direct-to-film printing continues to be a strong force and is really leading the charge. It has rapidly moved from novelty to necessity.
Yeah.
And it brings more than just substrate flexibility. It brings operational flexibility. Shops can easily flex between garment types, reduce prep times, and eliminate the complexities of pre-treatment or even screen setups. So it's enabling decorators to respond to fast turn custom orders with reliable full color output and minimal footprint. From an economic perspective, DTF has redefined what's viable at low quantities and has unlocked new business models like flash retail and influencer driven micro brands. At the same time, AI is really starting to make a tangible difference, especially when it's embedded into workflow platforms, and we can't treat it as a standalone novelty. So we're seeing AI used in artwork generation, yes, but the more mature applications are in automated mockups, predictive inventory management, customer segmentation, and even dynamic pricing. AI is also improving design proofing, color matching, and even quote generation, which are functions that were previously pretty labor intensive processes and were prone to human error. So what this means is that decorators can spend less time on repetitive administrative work and more time on production and sales. The other major area I think where innovation is really key is workflow automation and system integration. And that includes everything from e-commerce, order ingestion to production job routing, batching logic, and logistics coordination. So shops that were once drowning in this and disconnected tools that didn't talk to each other are now creating cohesive ecosystems where a Shopify order triggers a production ticket, pulls inventory data, generates a mock-up, and schedules the job to a production queue, all without manual intervention. And it's that kind of orchestration that is becoming a competitive requirement rather than a luxury. The other kind of thing I would talk about is UV printing, especially UV DTF. It deserves special mention here as well. It's redefining what decorators can offer, from custom hard goods to branding patches on non-fabric surfaces. And UV's appeal lies in its ability to expand product portfolios without drastically expanding operational overhead. And this matters in a fragmented market where clients expect decorators to provide not just apparel, but entire brand kits. So we're talking packaging, accessories, signage, and a whole lot more. In terms of what's being overhyped, it's not about any one technology being inherently flawed. I think instead it's the expectation that technology alone will solve structural problems. Equipment without strategy or software without adoption planning really leads to disappointment. DTF without airflow control, UV without color calibration, or AI without human oversight can all become liabilities. So my advice is always invest in technology as part of a system, not as a silver bullet. I think decorators really should focus their energy on technologies that reduce friction, that can compress time and expand service offerings. And the tools are here and they're advancing rapidly, but they must be deployed thoughtfully with training, integration, and return on investment, as front of mind, right?
Johnny, something that I've noticed, and I don't know if you've had a reflection of it yet, but I've been, Aaron and I both were involved in DTG for the last 20 years, and when DTF came along, the conversations about DTG kind of went to the wayside. But over the last 2 or 3 months, very much renewed interest in DTG, and lots of folks buying DTG printers, lots of folks asking questions about doing DTF on DTG printers, things like that. Have you seen that kind of thing?
Yeah, and I think there's a few reasons. I think DTF is starting to slow. I think DTG is starting to reemerge as a competitor in this space, and I would attribute that to a couple of things. We know the biggest flaw to DTF is the hand feel, right? And so
Right.
If a DTF printer, let's say, is providing products to their customers, you're going to have a small percentage or maybe even a large percentage of those customers go, I don't really like how this feels. Do you have something else or something that feels different?
Yeah.
Enter DTG, right? So if you're a standalone DTF print service provider, you're going to start to take a look at DTG now as a next step or a next plateau, if you will, to enter into, so that while you have the customer there, you have the tools in your toolbox necessary to meet whatever expectation they have. If it's quick and they don't really care about the hand feel, well, then DTF probably will be the right choice. If they're a more discerning customer, they want the hand feel, they want the breathability, DTG certainly is going to win out in that case. Now, DTF inks are getting better, but let's face it, Screen printing is the gold standard, and everybody compares the hand feel to screen printing. DTG is the closest hand feel to screen printing out there right now. DTF
Good screen printing.
Yeah. DTF still has that, 1970s heat transfer, can't breathe, my chest is sweating, that kind of feel to it, right? But it's getting better.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, we're unseasonably low at 104. So yeah, we have that here. But
Well,
I think and I jokingly call us, myself included, t-shirt snobs. Coming from screen printing, we like that feel, and absolutely there, and certainly screen printers are more likely to say I like DTG better. So.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But like you kind of talked about it, I was half joking about good screen printers, right? Because I actually have, my son's got a shirt from WWE that felt terrible, and it washed out and I'm sure we paid 40, $50 for the silly thing, and it washed out. Right. So every technology can have its downfalls if you don't do it right. But this is, just thinking about those things, right? Why they're happening. So definitely lots to unpack here for sure. So let's take a quick break. We need to give a shout out to our sponsor, Promo Hunt. And let's take this moment. You guys that are listening in live right now, start getting those questions in there for Johnny. What do you want to unpack some more? We've got more questions for Johnny too, but we want to make sure that while we have this opportunity to be in front of Johnny here, that we get everything we can. So with that being said, Eric, let's go ahead and take that quick break.
If you sell decorated apparel, then you're constantly on supplier websites like Sanmar, Alpha Broder, and SNS Activewear, comparing prices and checking inventory. Stop wasting time comparing prices the hard way. Just install PromoHunt's free browser extension. Then, when you're on a supplier website, PromoHunt will automatically compare your prices with all your suppliers and will let you know if you can save. With PromoHunt, you'll always be just one click away from seeing all your prices and inventory in one screen. PromoHunt shows other helpful information too, like similar product ideas, supplier phone numbers, preferred pricing, and coupons on thousands of supplier websites. PromoHunt saves you time and money, helping you quickly find and buy great products at competitive prices. The best part is that PromoHunt is completely free. Join 7,000 decorators and distributors that use PromoHunt every day to save time and money. Visit promohunt.com and sign up in less than 60 seconds.
All right. Well, check that out, you guys. Head over to promohunt.com/apparel. Terry, I know you've got another question for Johnny, and I'm looking forward to that, but I just saw one pop up from Pierre here. You want to start there?
Yeah, absolutely. Pierre Jimnicki said, Johnny, your thoughts on what the garment decorating industry will look like in 20 years?
Yeah, where's your crystal ball? Come on, Johnny.
And I'm making a note. We're going to have you back in 20 years, and we're going to talk about that.
Well, I think automation is certainly going to play a key role in really any manufacturing that's going to occur 20 years from now. There's talk of lights out manufacturing where everything is automated and robots are doing everything. I find that a little hard to swallow, especially given the substrate we're printing on due to the fabric and its flexibility and all that kind of stuff. We have all seen the robotic loading and unloading and the challenges that are associated just with that small step of the entire production process.
Sure.
But I do believe that automation will continue to progress, really more on the front end and back end. Not so much. I mean, it'll have an impact on production, but it's really going to be the order ingestion and automating all that labor-intensive processing of, no longer handwriting forms on print position and location and all that. All that's going to be automated. And a lot of it already is. In terms of what technology splits are going to be like, that's a difficult thing to answers. Again, all these are tools in the toolbox, and it's just a matter of how you use them.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to go away. I think screen printing is going to be around forever. I think DTG is going to hold its own. And I think DTF is still going to be around. It just really depends on the application.
Yeah.
Screen printing, albeit a mature technology, is still a great technology given the right parameters for a specific order, right? So it's not economical to screen print one shirt. Digital is better suited for that. Now, depending on, where you want to go down that path, DTG or DTF, or even some of the newer transfer systems like Sawgrass's new what is it? The Flex.
VersaFlex.
Yeah, the VersaFlex. So I think, it's important for decorators to really kind of survey the entire landscape and not, like I said earlier, it's not a silver bullet. Technology is not a silver bullet. It's how you marry them and connect them together in your ecosystem to service as many customers and applications as you can. So I think the shop of the future is going to be very diverse. And we may even see the lines further blur between the historic graphic and garment, cattle pens that we've been in for the longest time. I think these lines are going to merge and become even more blurred. So
really, really good stuff there, Johnny. Yeah, I kind of almost look at it like as humans, right? I think our real superpower is the critical thinking, big picture thinking, right? And so if we can take some of that brain power that we're giving to these, robotic type functions, it will allow us to be even more creative and more, critical in the processes and how we, interact with each other. So, my friend Doug Quinn said on a recent cruise, the robot at the Bionic Bar broke down every couple of drinks. I'm not worried about them taking over the world in my lifetime, right? Can't even serve us a drink. Come on.
Wait, Doug, you had more than one drink?
He's a friend of mine, Terry.
Here's what I heard. No more handwritten orders. What I heard was Johnny telling me I need to stock up on my junior yellow legal pads while I can still get them.
That's right.
Don't get me wrong. I have lots of them.
All right. Well, what else you got for Johnny there, Terry?
Well, Johnny, a lot of our listeners are small and mid-sized shops. So how are these decorators, the small guys, adapting to the demands of customization? You talked about speed. You talked about sustainability.
Yeah, so adaptation today is about agility. It's not about scale. And what I'm seeing is a shift from sort of monolithic equipment investments to modular workflow integrated production cells. Small and mid-sized decorators are no longer locked into one method. They're blending screen printing, DTF, DTG, embroidery, and other technology platforms into a unified production strategy. And this multi-technology approach really enables them to handle a wider variety of orders, price points, and turnaround times without overextending resources. On the customization front, the integration of front-end tools, things like online design editors, virtual mock-ups, automated quote engines, are really empowering customers to be co-creators, which reduces order friction and builds loyalty. Internally, I think decorators are implementing, barcode-driven workflows, digital scheduling boards, and print job tracking systems to really streamline production, and all of those are huge benefits. Now, speed is also being addressed through what I call decentralized batching. It's where decorators are leveraging all these different technologies, DTF, DTG, screen printing, and they're grouping orders by substrate or artwork type rather than by the client or the SKU, right? And so that allows for more efficient press utilization and lowers the per unit handling costs. Sustainability, I think a lot of people look at it as being a luxury investment, but it's really becoming more accessible and more important to customers. For example, bulk ink systems, energy efficient curing units, or recyclable materials are becoming common. So shops are even using software to reduce waste by forecasting demand more accurately and managing blank inventories more precisely. So what's crucial here is the mindset. The shops that are thriving aren't just buying better equipment, they're really rethinking their entire operation. They're becoming leaner, faster, and more customer centric. And they're doing it by aligning every piece of technology with a clear business outcome: reduce waste, improve margin, or increase order capacity.
Yeah, it's in my screen printing classes, I always say, and by the way, yes, people are still coming to screen printing classes, but I say when I started out, I was a screen printer, and the guy across the street, he was doing transfers, and the person down there, they were an embroiderer, and no one is that anymore.
Right.
You have to embrace other technologies, and in today's world, as a screen printer, yeah, my bread and butter is 1 and 2 color work.
Right.
And yeah, I'm going to do those 100-piece orders over here, but you're also going to have to talk to that person that wants 3. It's an Amazon world. So,
Yeah.
I want one, I want it custom, I want it now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really a differentiator for these companies that diversify their technology range, right? And not just say I'm not just a screen printer anymore. I'm your brand partner, and I have the technologies in the back that can get you what you need in the quantities you need them in the time you need them.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm seeing too is not even just that technologies in the back. You kind of mentioned, Johnny, it's not about that big equipment purchase, but they have access to those technologies. Like, for example, in the DTF world, you're seeing with the explosion of it, there's so many pieces of equipment out there, and the market value for a transfer is really low compared to what it probably should be. So and I hate saying this, working with the friends over at American Print Supply for my friend Terry here, but honestly, don't buy a piece of equipment yet. If you don't have that market built, go buy transfers. And
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing, and from my lens, and so you backing that up, but sharing what you're sharing, like you said, that brand partner, I love that. I think if people could just write that down and go call their list of top 20 customers and ask how I can be a better brand partner for you.
Yeah.
Be successful.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. All right. Well, one of the things I love talking to you about, Johnny, is that as you're doing all this research, and again, well before you were in this role, I always kind of leaned on you for these types of things when I had these questions in my brain. Kind of the market signals, right? Again, we've been joking about you breaking out your crystal ball, but I don't think there's anybody else I'd ask about what things are going to look like in 20 years. So, what are you seeing in demand trends? And give us both sides of it: product types, printing methods, wherever that takes you there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I mean, the market signals today are really shaped by a convergence of cultural, technological, and economic factors. From a product perspective, demand is moving away from standardized, mass-produced SKUs and toward more personalized, hyper-relevant offerings. Think niche drop collections, limited runs for micro influencers, merchandise tied to live events, or even digital content releases. And now tactically, that translates into demand for short run, high variety production, and something that legacy workflows like screen printing, they just weren't built to handle that. So customers now expect instant gratification and design personalization. And the smart decorators are responding by building on-demand ecosystems that integrate e-commerce, a dynamic artwork rendering, and order fulfillment. In terms of technology, DTF is seeing the most aggressive adoption curve because it strikes a balance between quality, cost efficiency, and versatility. But it's really not a one size fits all solution. DTG is holding its place in cotton dominant fashion centered applications. Screen printing certainly remains the gold standard for volume runs and special effects. And hybrid models using a screen underbase with DTG overprint are gaining traction to optimize both output quality and speed. I'm also seeing increased interest in value added processes, and that reflects a broader shift in that consumers are willing to pay a premium for a unique product that carry that carries this perceived craftsmanship, right? It's a limited edition, one of a kind, doesn't exist anywhere else. I'm the only one that has it, and so that conveys a perceived value, right? And so the bottom line is that decorators need to align their production capabilities with where their customer is going, not where they've been. And so that means investing not just in hardware, but in data, in forecasting tools, and platform integrations that allow them to respond to market shifts in real time, not days or sometimes weeks after.
Very good.
Yeah.
Hey, let's wrap up with this. We always like to ask our guests for a golden nugget. so
Since we haven't got enough already.
exactly. But we need one more.
We're
Or
greedy like that.
maybe take a step back and tell us the one that you hope our listeners will take home with them. That one strategic insight. What are you hoping that they're taking from today's podcast?
Yeah, if there's one key insight I hope listeners take from this conversation today, it's that adaptability is now the most important strategic asset in decorated apparel. You have to be able to adapt. The market is moving too fast, the tools are evolving too quickly, and the customer expectations are too dynamic for any business to rely on legacy workflows or static models. What made a shop competitive even 5 years ago with volume pricing, long screen run setups, static inventory, that's no longer sufficient. The businesses that are thriving today, whether they're large contract printers, boutique studios, or hybrid online operators, they're the ones that have built systems capable of rapid adaptation. They've invested in modular production capabilities, digitally integrated workflows, and data informed decision making. That doesn't mean they own the most expensive equipment or that they have the largest number of employees. In many cases, it means they've been intentional about aligning their tools, their pricing models, and their customer engagement strategies with where the demand is heading. And a great example is the rise of direct to consumer brands. These are small, often niche driven labels like fashion startups, influencer brands, mission driven merch lines, and they sell directly to their audiences through platforms like Shopify, Etsy, Instagram, or other social media platforms. They aren't looking for bulk orders, they want speed, flexibility, and the ability to drop a new design every week if needed. And so they need decorators that can match that pace and provide not just decoration, but on demand production, custom fulfillment, and brand packaging. So if you're a decorator and you're listening to this, the insight I'd emphasize is you are not just a print provider, you're a manufacturing partner in someone else's brand strategy. I mentioned that earlier. Whether that client is a nonprofit trying to mobilize their community, a local business running employee swag, or a direct-to-consumer label doing 100 units a week, they're coming to you for more than ink on fabric. They're coming to you for reliability, responsiveness, and relevance. And so that means you need to be thinking not just about what equipment you operate, but how your business model enables speed, customization, and value-added service. Are you providing a storefront integration? Are your production lead times aligned with customer expectations? Can you shift quickly between product types or decoration methods? And the most successful jobs in these next 5 years are going to be those that view change as a feature of their business model, not a disruption to it. So that mindset is really what's going to allow decorators to not just survive in this shifting market, but really to be a leader in them.
Nice.
Awesome.
Wow. Big stuff there. That's amazing. Okay, Johnny. So mine's blown. I think we got to regroup here, but where can people connect with you? What if they want to learn more about what you're doing over there at Keypoint Intelligence?
Yeah, sure. Keypointintelligence.com. Just as it sounds, my email is johnny.shell@keypointintelligence.com. So if there's any questions after, I'd be happy to try and answer best of my ability.
Awesome.
Those are two places to check us out. And
cool. All right. So,
Awesome.
Johnny, just real quick, one last thing for you here. If somebody's like, okay, this is really awesome, I want to have more intelligence, and there's a guy with a Keypoint Intelligence, what kinds of things should they be reaching out to work with you on?
Well, I mean, there's not too much we don't handle. We do
Okay.
product testing, we do consulting, workflow assessment, all these kind of things for businesses.
Okay.
We work with all the major blue chip brands. And if there's anybody online that is part of that crowd, I'd love to work with you as well. So
Cool.
there's not too much we don't do, Aaron.
Awesome. All right. Well, I just want to make sure we were sending the right people your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Love it. Johnny, thank you so much, man. Good to see you again.
Good to see you guys too. Take care. All right.
All right. Well, Aaron, I'm going to go from wood frames to aluminum frames now after hearing all this. That's just to make Pierre Jimnicki laugh.
There you go. Moving on up. Speaking of not laughing, but I just love the fact that, we don't always get a chance to get to every single comment on here, but if you are a podcast listener, we highly recommend you guys getting over to our Facebook page over there at facebook.com/2 regular guys, checking out some of the conversations going on in the background there too. So good stuff happening for sure. And we appreciate you guys participating, even though we weren't able to get every single comment up here on the live version today. So you did make Pierre laugh. So awesome. All right. Well, Terry, before we get to the secret sauce here, what do you got coming up?
Real quick, screen printing. It's still around.
Still around, yes.
I've got my next class in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply will be September 6th through 7th. And watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Awesome. Yeah, I've got some kind of exciting stuff in the works, but nothing I can share quite yet specifically. Obviously, the regular stuff out there, I will be at DAX in the Twin Cities, I guess. They've moved away from Treasure Island. So excited to see how that works out, and I'll be teaching there. But the main thing I want to share right now with folks is I've got a free, and this, I think, probably what throws some people. It's like, it's free, it can't be worth anything. I think that this could be your most important thing that you do. It's a strength-based strategy session, and basically just a 30-minute conversation where we take a strengths assessment that you'll take and kind of work on that and see what's going on with your business, see what actually fits. I have found that people that are feeling stuck in their business, maybe even working nonstop without kind of getting there, have some aha moments. And then we'll kind of leave it at that. I'll suggest some future potential coaching, but won't be making any sales pitches. If we want to talk about it later, we can get on another call, but 30 minutes of your time. I want you to get back to loving what you get to do each day. That is my mission in life, is to help people fall deeper in love with what they get to do. So if you want to head over to osg.link/SVP, you can sign up for that information right there. And so that's what I've got. Eric, I think I think this is all up to date here. He will be back for the take up here, episode 226. I know he was back last week, actually. And Q&A, shading and grading. I love his titles. I seriously need to hire him for my titles. Shading and grading, color choice, stitch style, and placement. So in this episode, he's going to answer some questions that he's had from new subscribers, analyzing some shades and gradient bearing embroidery designs from his catalog, as well as the questions they had when working with their own more patternly sketched or otherwise less defined source material. So how do you choose the way you'll shade, the stitch type, settings, variables, where color starts and ends, and what colors to use? So a completely free 502 level course here on shading and grading. If you want to jump in there and talk about it, you can join Eric at 2:30 Mountain Time. Now he's in the Eastern time zone, still the same time in Mountain Time, but 4:30 Eastern time. And he will share his techniques live. Go to ericcampbell.com and click on the Take Up tab at the top to find the show and to see a bunch of his future episodes as well. So that's what
I hear his move has gone smooth as glass.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say smooth or broken glass? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it's marginal which way.
I made him laugh.
Well, yeah, we made him laugh. All right, Terry, I am excited about this secret sauce. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
right. My secret sauce today is sell what you do best. That sounds like a no-brainer, right? Okay, not everybody wants to buy a white t-shirt with a one color decoration, even though that's what you and everybody else does best. But think about it. There's some orders you dread to do. And maybe it's not even dread. Maybe it's the fact, in your heart of hearts, while you're producing the order, you could be making much more money in the same amount of time doing what you do best. So, what products or services do you offer that can maximize your potential? In other words, what do you do best and most efficiently that can maximize your profit potential? These are the products and processes where you can focus your attention in marketing. Promoting what you do best is what makes the most money for you, and it only makes sense. I was talking with a decorator once who told me he hated doing a particular type of printing. My response was, "Why do I see it on your website homepage?" And there were some excuses about needing to show everything they do and what they're capable of. But in his eyes, why do I have that on my website? So if you can't part with a product, method, or service, take some time to study it and find a way to do it better, more efficiently, more profitably. Maybe just change or charge more money for it, so you're not hating yourself for taking the order. So help your customer find and want to buy what you do best and what you want to sell. Promote your specialty and what makes the most money per order. That alone can make you money with exactly the same amount of time of production and effort. So you want to fill some social media content? Fill it up with you decorating what you want to sell, what you do best. And it's okay to fire a product or service you offer. Yes, you may have legacy customers who buy just that product or service. And if you feel you have to, you can keep producing their orders, but just their orders. But I'm more of a mind to say, as of the end of the year or the end of the quarter or whatever the time frame, we'll no longer be offering that product or that service. And you can be honest and say it's just not profitable for your business. Here's a plus. If you fire a product or service, there's really no paperwork to fill out. So sell and promote what you do best and what makes you the most money. Take an hour and make some notes about what you do, what you like to do, and make some notes about what you'd be happier seeing going the other way. And I'm going to be using my yellow junior legal pad to make my notes. That's my secret sauce for today.
That's awesome, Terry. What a great secret sauce. And I love that, right? Like, yeah, there's no paperwork to fill out. And the fact that like, I think, and honestly, that's a big part of the message that I'm always trying to share at OSG is just because somebody else is doing it, we got to stop shooting on ourselves. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Do what you do best. And oh man, what a perfect way to get into that, Terry. So thank you
Awesome.
for that secret sauce. All right. Well, Terry, we've come to the close of another show here. Very well done. Thank you very much to Johnny Schell from Keypoint Intelligence for his time and all of that. Really great information and food for thought too. I just was making a ton of notes like, man, what I want to take out of that and dig into a little bit deeper. So really,
yeah, definitely a listen to again episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
all right. We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, turning the wheels, pushing the buttons, keeping us on the air.
Yes, for sure, Eric. And appreciate, man, when he came back, man, my shoulders, it's great. Not pushing all the buttons. Eric is an amazing guy and we appreciate him very much. So we're going to give him a week off to get settled into his new place and celebrate the USA's birthday as well. So we will be off on July 4th and then back on July 11th with Lori Donovan, who's going to be talking about VersaFlex, the new hybrid printing system for Sawgrass. She is an official ambassador for that program. And we're going to get details from her about how that's revolutionizing the industry, but also at the same time, just understanding in general some of the changes too, right? So it's not going to be a Sawgrass promo, but we understand what's driving all this. And so you guys can take information out of that and into your decorating space each day.
Absolutely. So happy 249th Independence Day next week for all of our U.S. listeners, and next year's the biggie, I guess, 250.
Yep.
Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch